In 2018, the city of Tampa, Florida proposed a modern rail transit system that looked like this. It's 2025 now, and yeah, nothing says modern rail transit like a vintage streetcar plastered with energy drink ads. How the heck did this happen? And is Tampa's little streetcar still useful transit? The only way to find out is to go for a ride. We begin at Tampa Airport, which might make a casual viewer optimistic about Tampa Transit. After all, it has the US's first automated airport people mover to the landside area, dating back to 1971. Of course I'm gonna stand at the front and pretend to drive. It's also got a much longer and newer people mover that runs to the rental car center and bus terminal. But once we're on the bus to the city, it's a different story. Despite this bus running from the airport to downtown by way of the University of Tampa, there's only 4 passengers on board besides myself, with 1 off and 1 on. So my directions say to go to Gaslight Park, but should I believe them or are they gaslighting me? From the bus stop downtown, we walk a few blocks to our target, the Tico Line streetcar. Opened in 2002 and operated by HART, Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Authority, this system travels 2.7 miles from downtown Tampa to the nearby Ybor City neighborhood, serving 11 stations. Tampa has a population of about 400,000. This is its only rapid transit. Our car is a replica Bernie streetcar, one of 7 in Tico's fleet. They also operate an open-air breezer car and an original Bernie streetcar. Inside, there's wood paneling everywhere, reversible seats, air conditioning, and dotted windows that open somewhat. We take off and roll down Franklin Street to the city's convention center, where we get off at the next station, Dec Greco Plaza. Our car leaves, and another comes rumbling through. It's plastered with ads for Celsius. You know, I've never actually tried a Celsius before. Now this is a very cool looking streetcar station. It's got a domed roof. It's all glassy. It is worth noting this quasi-Spanish style solution for accessibility. We have low floor platforms on either side of the double tracks, and then we have a high platform in the middle with wheelchair ramps. Frankly, I think it's a bit of an awkward design, but I mean, it's a heritage streetcar. What can they do? It's around here that grade-separated rapid transit once whisked passengers over the streets of Tampa. In 1985, the city opened the Harbor Island People Mover, an automated people mover system that ran from the Fort Brooke parking garage across Garrison Channel to Harbor Island. Low ridership and operating losses led to the system's closure just 14 years later, and a subsequent settlement between the line's owners and the city helped cover the streetcar's operating costs. Speaking of the streetcar, the line turns east and runs along Old Water Street, past Amalie Arena, home of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Tampa's hockey team. Here, as is the case for much of the route, trolley tracks run next to traffic instead of in it. HSBC Station is the first of several nearly identical stations downtown, with a small sheltered area and a mini-high platform for accessibility. Notably, large portions of the line downtown are single-tracked, including this one, where another car rounds the bend, plastered in ads for Coors. You know, I've never actually tried a Coors before, but I don't think I'm going to risk it. We follow the line up Water Street to Channelside Drive, where a gloriously window-free streetcar pulls into the station for Amalie Arena, advertising only the Tico line. The name Tico stands for Tampa Electric Company. This company ran Tampa's original streetcar system from 1899 until around World War II, and the modern system's name and livery is an homage to this. The small Amalie Arena station features pamphlets on things to do in downtown Tampa, as well as a sculpture of a cart in honor of workers who used to move wares in the nearby port. Boarding the Coors car, we make our way north past the Florida Aquarium and the Tampa Bay Cruise Port. Then we stop under the Selman Expressway for a few minutes, until a southbound car can pass us. None of the mostly tourist riders seem to mind this wait very much. Just after this, the streetcar tracks cross mainline freight ones. This is CSX's Tampa Terminal Subdivision, and if we follow the tracks just a bit to the west, we find Tampa's Union Station, served by the once daily Amtrak Floridian. Back on the streetcar, we pass the system's car barn and end up in Ybor City. Alright, we have made it to Ybor City, which is a key location when it comes to the history of Cuban immigrants in America. Here to comment is everyone's favorite Cuban American, Avery the Cuban American.
Ybor City is named after prominent Cuban cigar manufacturer Don Vincent Martinez Ybor, who obtained 40 acres of land for a company town in 1885 and built a permanent factory in 1886. At the time, this was the largest cigar factory in the world. Ybor City was created around it as a walkable company town, and it remains a popular area for tourism and nightlife. Cuban national hero Jose Marti frequently visited Tampa to rally for the cause of Cuban independence, and once recovered from an 1892 assassination attempt at a boarding house in Ybor City. To honor him, the land where the boarding house stood was later given to Cuba by its owner in 1956, becoming the modern Parque Jose Marti, which Kayla is now locked out of. So in a weird way, Tico serves Cuban territory.
So I just realized something funny. The streetcar stops in downtown Tampa are very modern, kind of curvy, very cool looking. And then over here in Ybor City, they're much more old-fashioned, kind of the peaked roof, that sort of thing. And I think that's a really clever decision to kind of change things up a bit depending on the character of the neighborhood. For some reason, this station is called Streetcar Society Station, and I have absolutely no idea why.
Caleb didn't do his research.
The Tico streetcar became free to ride in late 2018, thanks to a grant from the Florida Department of Transportation, leading to an increase in ridership. Also around this time, Tampa decided to explore turning their vintage trolley into a longer, modern tram system. Yes, I'm on RM Transit, so I'll use the international terminology. The extension proposal they came up with involved 1.3 miles of new track into Tampa Heights, and the replacement of the vintage streetcars with new light rail vehicles. Tracks in certain places would be modified to accommodate trams' larger turning radii, and stations along the existing route would be rebuilt with higher platforms for wheelchair access. This kind of modernization, going from a tourist-oriented tram or trolley service to a full-service network, isn't that novel. It's a bit akin to what Charlotte did with her Gold Line streetcar, how Blackpool modernized England's oldest surviving tramway, and what I proposed New Orleans do in my first video about that system. For a while, hype for an expanded Tampa system was real, and there was even talk of extending it into a citywide light rail corridor, reaching as far as the airport. Tampa planned to fund the project with a local sales tax dedicated to transportation, approved by voters in 2018. But in 2021, this tax was ruled unconstitutional by the Florida Supreme Court, and a retooled tax measure failed to pass locally in 2022, with 51% of votes being against it. Those local funds were needed to make modernized Tico happen, and they couldn't materialize. While the streetcar modernization project isn't officially dead yet, it's still mentioned on the Tico website. At this point, there is no clear path forward for funding rapid transit expansion in Tampa. But at least there's a path forward for dinner. Now, before I take the streetcar back to downtown Tampa and catch my bus back to the airport, there is one thing that I've been told I need to experience while I'm here in Tampa, and that is an authentic Cubano sandwich. Tampa Cubanos are more elaborate versions of simple sandwiches brought over by Cuban immigrants, influenced in part by Italian migrants who came to work in the Ybor cigar factory. Now, back to downtown, and it's time-lapse time. So what's the takeaway from Tampa's little streetcar system? Well, it's short, serves only peak tourist destinations, and doesn't have the frequency or double-trackedness to be serious, practical transit for residents and commuters. But it's important to stress that none of those were Tampa's primary goals in getting the system operational. It's a system for leisure travel, and it fills this role well. In fact, I think Tico is a good example of how tourist transportation infrastructure can be easier to make reality than serious transit for the everyman, especially in a place like Tampa, where tourism is a hot industry, but car dependency is high and public support for taxpayer-funded transit is mixed, at best. You see the same pattern next door when you compare Disney World's reliable network of free transit and Orlando's comparatively slim transit offerings, featured in one of my most recent videos. Tourist transit is just easier to build and operate than regular transit, with less pressure to cover long distances, compete with cars, or promote transit-oriented development. All general markers of good transit. Here I feel like Reese would insert something about the Vancouver SkyTrain as a point of comparison, but I don't have any footage of that, so here is the Detroit People Mover instead. Same thing, right? To get transit infrastructure beyond tourist transportation, there needs to be a lot of willpower and public support, and that can start with advocacy. But maybe, just maybe, it can also start when people go for a ride on a tourist trolley and find themselves asking, what if this were just a little bit better? Hello everyone who stuck around to the end of this video. My name is Caleb and I run a channel called Classy Whale, where I make videos like the one you just saw that try to find the story behind every transit system I ride. If you'd like to check out my channel, I'd recommend starting with my ride from Boston to Washington in England, replicating the Amtrak Northeast Corridor in the United Kingdom. You can also watch my adventure in Pittsburgh, looking for abandoned light rail stations, or my joyride on the Addis Ababa light rail in Ethiopia, which is something that not a lot of transit YouTubers have covered. Thanks for watching, and take care.